like the biggest high school event for esports ever.
We have kids from all walks of life, all cliques, all demographics. They all rally around esports.
For our program, students receive access to resources and hear from industry leaders to learn how to match their academic pursuits to their future.
Creating a new community within the student body. I think that esports and gaming already has this great capacity to create teamwork.
Oh my goodness!
$150,000 scholarship pool is up for grabs, and we are going to see 6 different titles. I got Counter-Strike, Minecraft, Rocket League, Valorant, Rainbow Six, Chess, NBA 2K22, and Call of Duty Vanguard.
%, done with the action tonight. I'm still here with a new co-caster. Joe is here to join me for our third match of the night, Method versus Decimate. And it's another case of you don't know the names, but you know, or you don't know the teams, but you know the names behind them.
Yeah, definitely. There's a lot of experience, a lot of notorious players, I guess you could say, big names kind of in this game. And I'm really excited to see it. We haven't really seen either of these forms of these teams, really, full 5 at least, with either one of them. So it should be really exciting to really see these guys play at stage because, you know, we're going right in. But we do have the rosters with all of those names right on here. And, I mean, V, what do you think of these two teams?
I mean, for Method, who jumps out to me is Spy, Nyx, and Drix. I know that Loading and Lloyd have been rad as well, but Nyx is kind of that star caliber name. You know, is on Mirage for a bit, has been playing in a lot of those kind of T3 orgs, has been around, especially since he's been out of Pro League. But on the side of Decimate, you have a lot of old Aerialers Academy members, old Mystic Academy members, players like Scoob, players like Neo, who in SES was a monster. And to see him on this type of roster is exciting in its own way. So I think both of these rosters have powerhouses of their own. That to see them go head to head, it would be an exciting match.
Yeah, and that Decimate roster has seen a lot of changes lately. I mean, you look at the 5 that they had in that first qual. I mean, Neo was even new. That was his first weekend with that team when they did qualify. And Needles was there, Scoob was there, but it's like, it's pretty new roster for the 5 of them. But, I mean, it's pretty dang stacked top to bottom. So, I mean, I expect them to be pretty good roles-wise. It all makes sense, and I do expect them to have a pretty good showing in their first real match.
Fun enough, I feel like that is kind of where we are right now in T2, T3, is that it's a lot of roster shuffling. There's not a lot of solid teams because there's not a lot of areas of which you can actually play. Like SFCL right now is probably the biggest thing that we have so far because we don't have Challenger League. So
yeah. There's not a lot to play.
Yeah.
There's not a lot to play, but hey, we're here. We also have map bans.
Yeah, we love going to places, and I love not going to Oregon or Villa. Variety is the spice of life, so we'll actually get something different. Skyscraper and Theme are still here. Oh, Theme is still here, but like I said, it's going to be something different than those first two, and it seems that Clubhouse, well, maybe not different in the grand scheme of things, is the first time that we're going to see it today with Method on the attack.
Yeah, Method on the attack. I mean, I'm also thinking that this team will be a good attacking team, just given what we've seen from them. You have so much structure behind Nyx and Loading, and then you have the frag power on that team. We saw Oloid, he's doing his thing. Drix, who's had new signs of life ever since that stint at Vipers that didn't go well. We're seeing Drix Dash achieve back kind of a little bit with this team, and it's just a lot of firepower going back with them, but mixed with that structure. So I kind of like them going to Clubhouse because this is that kind of map where you do run most of the time 2 hard breaches. So that kind of goes in with that structure with Nyx and Loading, 2 players who were in Pro League playing those 2 roles, and then you also have kind of those gunners behind them to be able to go. So I do like the map ban going that side of Method, but hey, maybe, you know, Decimate with their map pool, it might be their map as well.
Decimate, I want to see how those roamers are going to do, because I think they will have a lot more of them spread out around the map. You know, no SSG roam, but still enough where Method are going to have to deal with it rather than ignore it, focus on the site, because there are good enough players on the side of Decimate that they will be a thorn in your side if you leave them alone for long enough. Fraggers, I mean, hell, I'm expecting Neo to be a little bit off the side, maybe on that Oryx, maybe Solus if she is let through. But as we head back to us, not bans, we get to talk a little bit more about these two teams.
Yeah, I think Decimate, the kind of key to these defenses, like I said, you have that structural backbone on Method. The way that I see, you know, Decimate really kind of cooking on their defenses is you got to pressure the map. Don't give up everything for 3. Really, just try and get in the faces of Method. Don't let those two players just make decisions. Try and make everything pressure. Try and get the game a little chaotic, because if you give Method time to be able to go for an execute or really work on a push, they're going to successfully do it. They have the players who can call that, and they have the firepower to make it happen. But Decimate, they have the firepower to really press up in your face. And that, to me, is kind of their win condition on their defenses, and use that momentum to get into their game.
Basically, we have two teams. Like, one is focused, calm, like I said, focused rage. It's very, very powerful. And on the other side, you just have chaos, pure chaos. And to see those two forces just kind of go at it with each other is an exciting thing to see with each other.
Yeah, it's definitely a weird matchup, because a lot of times you kind of see mirror matchups, just with the way the meta is. But it's always interesting to see teams at such polar opposite kind of play styles come at each other, because it's polar opposite play styles. It's two teams that want to play the game completely differently. So it's kind of, it can either make for a very good game or a very bad game. And I expect us to really see that early on.
All right, so I've kind of talked about this with Golu. I'm going to ask you, because I really like hearing everybody's opinion. What is your opinion of Nighthaven Labs? You like it?
I think there's a lot that kind of hinders the map. I think some of the rooms are too big, and sometimes there are areas that are too big in the map, too many rooms even. But I think it actually, unlike all the maps that they've put in, like, you know, like Emerald Plains, Stadium, it actually has like a way that it plays. Like, the map actually plays. Like, there's kind of a meta to it.
It's a map.
Ways to push it. Yeah. So like, to me, I could see it slipping into the comp pool at one point, but I mean, I don't know. It's a little tough, but we don't have to worry about Nighthaven. We get to worry about Clubhouse as Method and Decimate. We get to see what they ban going into this game and see how this map really will shape up given what they have.
And clicking on through, we haven't seen Solus, we haven't seen Falcaroon, we haven't seen Dekebi a lot today. Are we going to see them here? And Thermite.
I don't see that very often.
Well, I mean, I got caught off guard by that, because Thermite, I like it.
Yeah,
All right, ace or
great.
nothing.
Yeah, I feel like, especially on this map, it's not necessarily that uncommon to see any of the hard breaches banned, even the ace, just because it's ranged hard breach, and ranged hard breach on this map really can be very powerful, especially on those gym attacks, even the CC attacks, basement attacks. Like, you know, you can open up church wall from bottom main, or you can open up the rafters wall from plat, or you can open up the bathroom wall, for instance, from jacuzzi. So it's like on all three of those sites, it's really good to have that ranged hard breach. So even ace can kind of slip through. But Thermite, on the other hand, you never really see it, and it's a little interesting that we get that. I kind of want to get behind that at one point and kind of, you know, hopefully see if we can ask, you know, I guess either team, but specifically the one that banned it, yeah, what their thought process was on banning the Thermite. But it's definitely interesting on club, you know, not having a Thermite. I feel like we always see a Therm.
Attackers need to locate.
I mean, he's mainly used for CC wall and jacuzzi wall. Usually you'll see like dirt maybe used for something like an ace, who's the only option at this point. I think with the removal of those hard breach, secondary hard breaches are a must, because with Ace you can only open one hatch. So Capitao, what else we got? Buck, secondary hard breach. There's not a lot of super.
Knock does have one.
That is true.
Knock does
but
have
you
one.
lose frag grenades, so which one is more important?
Yeah, I mean, you want the frags. Zero has one as well, but I think that you want Zero on this map. And there we go. I like that. I like that they're extending. They're doing exactly what we talked about in the pregame, and they have 4 players off site. I assume Twizzler will be making his way back down, or at least in an area that he can support his teammates on site. But for the most part, they're really denying most of the map, and it's really going to make it a struggle, really, for Method to just cleanly take the map. They're going to, no matter where they enter on the map, there is some form of, I guess, a presence from Decimate to really make sure that Method can't really just do whatever they want on the map.
And you talked about how if you let Method do what they want, then boy howdy, things are not going to work out for you. Scoob starts us out with a kill onto Nightmare Nyx. And now you lose that Buck, so Ace is going to be your only hard breach in this situation. Only one hatch can be opened, and Spy is going to have to take his pick in this scenario. Which one is the all-pivotal hatch? A Yokai drone gets into bathroom to Sonic Blast onto Drix, and the drone does not get away. I think that one is going to sting. But so far, Decimate are spreading their tendrils far and wide throughout this map.
Yeah, and Method don't really have an answer for anything right now, and they're just actually going to ignore all of these players upstairs, which, I mean, I guess they don't really have much of a choice. They don't have much control of anything on the map, and Drix, who has to have a great game today if Method really want to get into it, but that kitchen hatch starting to get open as well, but without the vertical being done, it's just a free impact trick right there, and one ace charge does go in, but that's not going to be enough to open the hatch.
Just like that, there are no hatches that are going to be used, as long as they were reinforced. If they were not, there are 6 breaching charges, or 9 that could have been used. So, and we already see them being utilized on the floor. Decimate has gotten everything they wanted. Got a kill on a Nightmare Nyx. Got all the hard breach charges out. What is left for Method? You just have to, at this point, rush inside, get kills, and Decimate are not going to allow that. And with 40 seconds left, you don't have too much you can do from this point on with your information, because Decimate has superior information. And now as we go into that execution phase, it's going to be all up to the gunners of Method. Drix does start out with the kill onto Neo, but poor players just get shot at left and right. It's a true entry. Drix finds another, and Decimate, who had everything they wanted, leave everything in the hands of Needles in a 1v3. He's stuck in main with Oloy now putting down that diffuser. He's not in a favorable position, and Goyle Fire is blocking his path. Joe, he's able to wait, go forward, but still, time is against him. The numbers are against him, and he finally goes down. What happened to Decimate?
You just plain and simple can't let that happen. No players in church, really. You know, that player in church, that's where the blue push really happened. That's where everything happened, really. Through blue, you had a player dirt, you had a player in blue, and that kind of pinch got them into armory, but that church player can't die there. Has to do his best to try and at least hold off the push best he can, because the blue hatch is open. There's holes all over it. There's no reason that they should be able to walk 2 people through blue, but they do just that. Get the kills inside of armory, get the bomb down, and leaves Needles by himself, who was also a little bit late on the rotate to kind of get back and help everyone out on site. And Method, they make the right decision to just leave those players upstairs, and those players upstairs did not make really the right decision to try and help the players back up.
I mean, they got the entry. They wasted time. It's just the one thing they forgot to work on, and that is the thing that killed them. I think that shows just how you need to worry about everything. In Rainbow Six Siege, you lose focus for just a little bit, and suddenly it's Method who get that round instead of Decimate, despite everything in their favor. Now Decimate, they get a little bit of changes. We see both the utility denial focal on that Frost was very, very important on the gym side. Drix already inside of the garage, barely misses shot, and now that will indicate that he is inside of the garage. But honestly, for Decimate, they're going to be very glad that Drix did not hit the shots.
Yeah, and a little bit of an opportunity right there to get an opening pick, which clearly they don't need, but Decimate still have a lot of control over here. But Method working a little bit faster on this side of the map than they did last time, getting rid of that Azami barricade on that top red. But with the Azami right there, Neo, he can just continue to place them over and over again. And this Azami is really going to slow down the push. But as I say that, Oloid just walks right in. He finds two people walking up the red stairs, ends up going down from one in con, and so much action. And just a minute has transpired in this round.
I mean, it's Method who drain all the life away from Decimate. Leave Focal and Scoob inside of the site, and Method have so much time to work with. They have 7 drones that they can utilize. A lot of them set up for flanks, which probably aren't going to happen with Focal and Scoob being the only players left, but there's a lot of time that they can spread around the map themselves. Maybe put a little bit of players on the stairs. Maybe put a little bit in Con. Maybe put a little bit in Logi, where Scoob is going to be holding. Focal trades some health for the kill onto loading. And now with Drix down, the way Spy is going to be able to find that kill. Now Focal fully blind fires away, giving his exact position, and it does allow Drix to get revived. There's not a lot of health on the side of Method, but the guns are more than enough to get the kill. Nyx just walks and doesn't even need help. Joe, and a much different round that Method clearly takes control of.
Yeah, and they kind of find the opening. They're very good at spotting it. That's what they did in the first round. They found the opening blue and kind of just went after it, and they found it walking up red right there. Just getting picks. Nobody really helping each other from Decimate. I think if you're going to try and take these gunfights, you have to try and really do it quickly and not let, like we said, Method have that opportunity to problem solve, because not a lot went on. They did well with their utility at the beginning. You know, they got the wall open, they got rid of the Izami barricade on that top red, and they got the information that they needed to make everything happen. And Decimate, in that time frame, did nothing to try and really alter what Method was trying to do. And with that, it's just going to make it just easy for Method, and they have to figure out a way to put Method off, because 2 pretty quick attack wins that seem a little bit clean outside of that beginning of the first round. Method kind of looked poised to continue to do damage.
Yeah, no changes on the side of Decimate. They bring the same operators, or setting themselves up in the same way. Because that's always the question that you have to ask when a team goes to the same site, is what are you going to do differently? I just don't know, at least from a observer's point of view, if what they're doing is going to be enough to counter what Method has, because it's lending itself to the exact same attack, which leads to the exact same result.
Yeah, and once again, we have Method kind of taking this control over here. Nobody is contesting this at all, and this push over in this, bar side downstairs to kind of go a little direct is great, and Nyx finds the opening kill onto Focal this time. That was actually the site player, and that's going to cause Decimate to just have to rotate back, and the cutoffs are kind of made, and look at all this control that's over here. Scoob's on main stairs, yeah, sure, but everything that these really players need from Method is all done. The wall's starting to get open. Drix has the downstairs. Nades could start to rain down from below, and they have the ace to get that bathroom wall open. And Method, once again, looking fantastic.
They have everything you really want as an attack. Time, map control, man count, and I think they are going to use that to perfection. Neo takes a risky Kiba barrier play, tries to throw it on out, takes a little bit of chip damage in the process. Thankfully, didn't take any more. Otherwise, Decimate would just be in an even bigger hole, as Drix is caught rotating through a bar. Gonna try an underneath frag grenade. There's a player nearby. Unfortunately, the blast radius is not enough to even do any bit of damage to any player on Decimate. But now we're starting to see the tides turn. Twizzler gets one as right now Decimate just have to hold on to the side. Every little small scrap that they have in this round.
Yeah, and that's a downstairs player, but Needles unfortunately gives his life away, and that's actually going to prompt these players to just walk in. The plan's starting to go down. Nix finds a second one from the windows. That's the player that was shooting at the bomb. Twizzler does take him down from the windows, but a little bit too late. The bomb does go down. Player down on main stairs. They know where this last player is. Everything's covered and loading. Finds the last one. Method, a third straight attack round to open up this game. Looking mighty fine on these clubhouse attacks.
Oh, yes, and it seemed like Decimate may have had something, but the thing about Method, they are methodical, yet they are precise. Like, they know what they need to do, and when they need to do it, they will act upon it as fast as they can. Just like we saw, got control of site, boom, put the diffuser down, put a lot of Decimate in an uncomfortable position, which, you know, maybe a couple of Meth players were taken off guard, but still, the round was clearly falling in the favor of the attack. And what can Decimate even do to change their fate in this situation? The basement site was the best site that they had overall, and it was because the start that they had was unmatched. And even that wasn't enough to hold on to the round. We've seen two sides of Decimate. We still have yet to see an actual victory from them.
Yeah, they just spotted the opener. They took their opportunity so brilliantly, Method. They got that pick, and they were like, dude, that's all we need. Let's just run in. And Needles did give away that pick. He was in the power spot, but that was kind of the importance. That's kind of what that take is. Nothing really being done about any of those players. And it's hard for really anybody to get into a good spot to help out these players, but that's also where the Azami needs to be. The Azami needs to be the one on site trying to block everything out and really stop those angles, especially from the windows, from being able to be made, and they weren't able to do that. And off of that pick, just running in, getting it done, getting the bomb down so quickly, just in a blink of an eye. And Method, that's kind of what we expected to see them from the supports in the structure.
I was gonna say, I was worried with Decimate playing similar positions that there's no way Method would play the same thing twice, get shot by the same things, and that is indicated by Scoob just dropping down to the basement without getting a kill. As with Needles and Neo up on the site, there is the opener that Decimate did get in the previous round. It's Oloy who goes down, who has been a big opener for this Method attack, but now he is down. Somebody else has to pick up that mantle, and it's not that difficult to see somebody else here with loading 5-1 Drix as well. Everybody is putting kills, so I mean, you don't lose too much with Oloy, except that small advantage that you always get with the opening pick.
Yeah, and they kind of have an opening here, and I'm wondering if they're going to recognize it. Needle's going to start peeking here, and he works his way down the stairs, but they kind of have a little bit of control right now. I think there is still one player upstairs, but they have that moto hatch if they want it, and they have a lot of area to work with. Drix is actually starting to work in two, and Scoob finds that one, and still the player coming in blue. Drix downs one, gets traded out himself, and there's the moto. That opening not working out for them this time, and Nix is all by himself.
Oh, a good shot onto Focal. It's a 1v3. As Nix doesn't have anything but really flashbangs in this situation. Even the ARX doesn't have a great mag. Decimate can use that to their advantage. They finally get one on the board, and I don't think it's too late. One more might have been, but Method gets 3. Decimate finally gets one, keeping the potential chance of a 3-3 half on the board.
Yeah, and they had the opportunity right there. They kind of made the right play. It was just timed pretty poorly. That player in Moto, who dropped the hatch, loading, I believe it was, on the Buck, just a little bit too slow to help his teammates. And with that, it kind of put off the rest of the blue push. Because if they timed that a little bit better, those players inside of Church, which was the reason that Decimate lost it the first time, those Church players went big this time. But that was the reason that they didn't do well that past round. And those players in Church went crazy, but that was kind of the Bucks' responsibility to really get a pinch in there so they could take the gunfights at the same time. Not able to do it, and they all get taken down one by one.
Where we are in bar stage? Am I reading that correctly? That is the site we are going to. It is, with Decimate trying to hang up on that second floor. You've got Maestro with the evil eyes hanging out over the site. How do you feel about bar stage? And how do you feel about Decimate heading here?
Their best site for sure. CC is not a good site on this map anymore. Bar, if played properly, really isn't that bad of a site, especially with how the game is kind of played now. And we're gonna see Method go for this strip control early, and I assume take upstairs, because you have to. You can't just leave these players upstairs and try and take through Jacuzzi. Make sure that those players can't really play those vertical angles that are inside of Master. Try and, cover those plants. And they're doing a pretty decent job, but I don't think there's any information right now. Needles is kind of already here to contest. He's ready to take a gunfight, but he is not aware of Oloid. I'm not quite sure how he didn't realize that that wall got open, and Scoob now down to 1 HP as well. Method doing great on the entries, but they have to build upon that.
That's the thing. It's always what you have to think about. Is yes, you got the opening pick, but how do you work off of that? Scoob, a good kill onto Drix, tries to pivot onto Nyx, who is outside, throws a frag grenade in, and, well, just forces Scoob out of the bathroom. I think there was a magnet, but it was in the position to blow him up as Twizzler finds another one. So we're all evened up. Method doesn't get an advantage, and Decimate doesn't get an advantage, but Decimate still holds that top floor with a lot of the Method players coming from the western side, from Strip, trying to regain a lot of control. And Nyx by himself in the basement, getting on the little flank or two.
I'm wondering where he's gonna come up. It looks like he's just trying to work his way on main, and not a fan. They didn't even try to work the upstairs, and look at all these angles that they have above. Neo can cut off this room completely, and Decimate kind of have everything covered in a minute left. It's just going to be a struggle for Method to really do anything, but you got to trust Nyx here. No player in sight. They can recognize that, but the only problem is you can hold the entirety of this site from upstairs, which is not being contested right now. So Decimate can play off the information with those Maestro cams and see what they can do. And now Oloid's starting to rotate as well. Chapai's found him in a spot over here, but I don't think they just have that information on that lounge side. And Method starting to work their way in, but I just don't know. I don't think they know where everybody is.
And they have to take top floor control. And that is indicated by Nyx heading upstairs. But Focal holding with the shotgun is deadly. Neo is going to push towards the stairs. Does see Nyx and tries to fire away. But Spy is putting the diffuser down. Does get it down. Trades Oloid's life for it as Neo was a hair away from getting the headshot. But now the tide is against Decimate. Spy can get the kill and does get the kill onto Twizzler, evening out the gunfights. Nyx holding on the stairs, takes away Focal, and now are we in a true 1v1? Yes, we are, and Nyx wins it out, furthering Method's lead on this bar stage. A close one at that.
Yeah, and 2 players actually went to try and deal with Nyx on that main staircase, and they just decided to not pay attention to the plant that was going down. They had the information, but I believe it was Neo on that castle, and he was the one that really was in charge of watching for that plant, and the information was there. Chapai in no world should be able to get that bomb down, and the second that it does go down, it's a tough retake for them with the info or not, and they decide to go right back here. But Method, I'm kind of shocked they were able to execute that site without taking the upstairs at all. Nyx kind of makes the right play, but still, Decimate messing up big again and gifting another round of Method that really they should have won.
I think it's one of the things where we run that side again, we don't see the same result. The bullets away from Spy's head were so close, I am surprised they did not hit. Like, Neo kept firing the same spot, was oh so close, and if he kills Spy, the round is over. Just like that. But it doesn't go that way. A lot of these are just not seeming to go Decimate's way, with Method up 3, looking to go up 5 as we're heading back to, is that back to bar stage? Is Decimate clearly trying something? And maybe it will stick, or maybe it will be there down.
Oh, yeah, but that's once again an early pick for Drix. or I believe it was Oloid the first time, but they're doing great on the entries and doing a good job at actually changing their push here, and I kind of like it. They have that pick, though, and I'm interested to see how they're going to work the map, given that they have it. I feel like sometimes with that opening pick method is kind of not, even though they're ending up winning the rounds, I feel like with that opening pick, they're not doing the best job that they could with that opening pick, but they've also switched up their push. So that I do like. They've decided to just go a little bit more direct, take this jacuzzi control into bathroom and master, and the second that they clear these players out, they can start to work strip, and once they have all that control, they kind of should be smooth sailing.
All right, Method has thrown a curveball with the change of results, and Decimate have to be ready to swing for the fences, get something in this round, and it isn't going to start with Neo jumping out, takes a lot of damage. In the end, Drix is going to be the one to finish him off. It is a refrag with Wizard taking out Loading, but Decimate are still down 1. They're in the hole with, I mean, the good thing about last round with Decimate, they held the top floor. Can you say that about this round? Method are halfway done with their objective, taking the round, and when they do that, what can Decimate do about it?
Yeah, and they have all the flanks covered as well, starting to deal with that information on site to make sure that the Maestro cams aren't really an issue, and Twizzler's going to try and make his way into kitchen would be a great spot to flank. They have the info. I'm sure that he knows that someone's in kitchen, and if he can get this timed right, I don't think Nyx is aware that this is even a possibility, and the site execute is starting to come in. If Twizzler is going to make a play, it has to be now, but he actually gets out of there, and 40 seconds left. The site is in the control of Method.
Spy is going to try to stick down that diffuser. We have seen Method constantly get the objective down. Twizzler takes out Drix, starting to chip away at the lead that Decimate had, but immediately Spy is there to finish them off, finish the second player off after planting the diffuser, and Method get a 5-1 lead going into their defensive half. It is pretty strong, but I want to remind everybody at home, we saw a 5-1 from HK Rebels, and they lost it. It had to go into overtime to win it, but, I mean, I don't know if I could see that. With Method, they are looking oppressive.
Yeah, just the way that they're playing together is great, but it's weird because as Oloid and Drix are good players, you'd expect Decimate to really be able to do well on those opening picks with the firepower that they have, but they're spreading themselves so thin and not really playing off of each other with that gun skill that they have, and that's just been the difference here. Decimate, all the talent that's on this roster, they're just not performing together. They're not playing crosses correctly. They're just giving Method opportunities to kind of be like a boa constrictor snake. Really just squeeze them, get around every single inch around them and just squeeze, tighten them up, and make them uncomfortable, I guess is the word that I'm going for. And Decimate have not done a good job with that, you know, uncomfortability at all. They haven't done anything to solve that problem of getting out of these bad situations, and now you see Method doing a little bit more organized of a roam towards this first floor than Decimate ever did.
Oloid is there. Loading is there. I know there's more. What else we got? Is Drix playing it in strip on that basement side? Yeah, no, they are. It is a party on that first floor right now, and I'm not just talking about Drix in strip club. No, I'm talking about every player on Method intending to just waste as much time as they can from Decimate.
Yeah, on this top floor, obviously there's not a lot of pressure, but with the amount of players that are on the first floor, it's going to force Decimate to really have to try and clear these players out from the first floor, do their vert, take these gunfights, and Method can kind of start to slip back to site off of that and just allow that player that's in strip to just waste as much time as possible, because they're going to have to deal with that player at one point, and if Loading can get back to site as well, cause a little bit of time to be wasted, same with Oloid in this secret position, it'll be good for them. And Loading starting to fall as well, but now I'm sure that he knows that one player's on his main stairs and starting to get all this information in, and I think Loading is going to be stuck. He recognizes that and has the help, and Drix makes a great decision to try and come with the help. He finds one, not able to find the second, but I'd take that trade every day of the week. That's a 2-for-1 trade. Loading does go down to that vertical play that I just mentioned, but a minute and a half, they've taken down the Ace and the Iana, and that's 2 big picks given that Method, all they gave up was a cap can and a castle.
All right, so at this point, what Decimate can do that they've lost that Ace? They have Twisted. I think they're lucky stars. They still have a way to get open this hatch, which Method actually didn't earlier in that first round that we saw. But honestly, hatches are the only thing they can get open at this rate. The God 6 is going to bust open that castle barricade. Scoob, hanging out in the main stairs, has a decision to make. He doesn't have a lot to work with, but he has time. And time is the one thing you really do want as an attacker. Twister can use this time to break open the floor, find a potential entry, but nobody on Method is really giving him the time of day. Breaking open that second hatch.
No.
Okay. The impact does go off. Joe, a small little bit of debris might save Method's chances in this round. As Needles drops the hatch, he has help behind him, but doesn't have great access to the player in blue. Spy gets one, and now it's just the players inside of the church. And Needles with the DMR doesn't have much luck, and Spy is just finding kill after kill, funneling into churches. 3 for him, and Method, who put themselves on map point.
Yeah, and there were a bunch of things in this timeout I would say is a little bit too late, but I'm happy they're calling it. I'm very happy they're calling it. I love when teams call timeouts. I feel like a lot of teams don't do that, but those are the crossfires that Decimate failed to do that Method really did. They're helping each other. They're doing a great job at maybe, I don't want to say lack of gun skill because they're squaring up very well against Decimate, but it's kind of uncharacteristic for Decimate to be losing all of these fights, and Method doing a great job at helping them, making every gunfight a 2v1. They're really making Decimate work for it. And even that round, with 45 minutes left, the second I saw that shield in church, there was nothing Decimate could have done to win that round unless Method completely threw it away. And they're just doing a great job with playing around not just each other, but their setups. And a team that I somewhat expected to see, but they're kind of shattering my expectations at the moment just from how well that they're playing around each other.
I think one theory you could say as to why Decimate aren't having a lot of good chances in the frag department is that their positioning is inferior to Method. Methods, you mentioned, always has a 2v1. And it feels like Methods is always in the favorable position, always has the better angle. And Decimate, well, they can have great shots, can find their ways out of uncomfortable positions. That is not the mainstay. It's always Method who are taking the fight, taking the peak, winning it out. And they're up 6-1, which, in my eye, it's very surprising with who is on Decimate to see them potentially go down this hard.
Yeah, and this is their first game day together, but to be honest, Method, 4 of the 5 of them were that, qual roster, and then they end up picking up an ex-Pro League player as that 5th. So, I mean, still though, it's just the difference in these two teams, the experience of Method at that high level really showing at the moment. And Decimate, they have to hopefully use that timeout to good use if they want any chance, obviously, to come back. There's not a lot of errors they could really be making, but they just have to try their best to try and isolate picks before that 2v1 comes in. Make everything a 1v1. That's the only chance that you have, because team play wise, I don't think Method is really going to give opportunities for Decimate to take those 2v1s that Method is doing. So they have to try their best to isolate those 1v1s best that they can. And with this lurk from Scoob, it looks like they're starting to think about doing that.
There is no reason why Method would let off the gas pedal. I believe round 2 games are decided on round differential. I don't think they're random. It is better to do something off of round differential, and Method going up 6-1 would be big, but Drix misses and allows Neo to get that first kill and give Decimate something, a glimmer of hope, map control, whatever they need. It is a breath of fresh air, and they can continue that, pushing forward, trying to work their way up to potential cache, to CCTV, and then focus their way onto the site. That is the next objective.
Yeah, and they just did a great job, like I said, isolating that first pick. It's what they got to do, and now something that we haven't seen in a little bit, them having the first pick. And that Impact doesn't actually end up getting that first, ace. It does get, one part of it, but it had already deployed its second one, and that's both Impacts going down from Oloid. So he has those zombies to work with. However, they can get the wall open whenever they want now. And still, Decimate, though, they got that opening pick, but there's only 1:20 left. Not a lot of control that they still need to get, but given how early they got this control, they're wasting a lot of time. And with this mirror to work with as well, not really finding a way to deal with it, he does get the mirror scoop from below, takes his life with him, but Neo instantly trades it. Chapai gets one back, and V, just so much action right away, and Oloid trying to do his best to try and stop this push with those Azamis, but looks like advantage is in Method's side right now.
And it does seem it's in Method's favor. It was a great shot from Neo to catch Nyx on as he was trying to back off from Logi, but Decimate needs one more. They need something to spur their way into the site, because as things are, Method should take this. There's 2 players inside of Logi, and Oloid doesn't get anything. Loading is going to find a refrag, and now just Needle stands between Method and full victory. Able to get one, but retreats so much health in the process. Is it going to be enough? It is! Needles gets the headshot onto Chapai, and Decimate get their second round, and they stay alive, barely alive, but they are here.
Yeah, and they had to make the play, but Method, you just see it. It's so glaringly obvious how well they're playing their crosses and how much they're helping each other. And it's just beautiful to see. They weren't able to win the fights towards the end of the round once they got it to a 2v1. A little bit too far for them to help each other out. Like when Needles gets this kill, just, Chapai not in a place to help. Excuse me. But he's still a 6-2 advantage. Decimate, they did good at the beginning of the round, but not able to really build off of that until, that 3v3 execute, which really even then they shouldn't have exactly won. So Method still feel like they have the advantage. They're in control of their own destiny at the moment, and they are using this Mira once again on CC, which, like I said, has fallen out of favor on this map, but Mira, especially on this site, you don't really see too often.
Yeah, and there's a lot of atypical mirror windows. I mean, one looking over red at crouch level. Now you've got one looking outside. And I think that is something that having only the ace gives you, as Nyx is going to pop open that mirror window, basically making it so that if Decimate tries to go for an easy wall open, they have to be a little bit paranoid about it, knowing that, well, some bullets can fly through that. It is both ways now. It is a much different decision by the defense, but I like something as spicy as this.
Yeah, it's interesting. We, like I said, don't get to see it too often, and they're not even gonna wanna deal with this wall at all. They're just gonna kind of leave it. And this Mav that was brought to get that main wall, not really able to do it. So it's also weird because there's no wall denial, and they're not really recognizing that. They could pop that wall open whenever they want, that main wall, flat wall, but they're just not doing it. And Chapai trying to just keep them from taking space too quick. It's going to slow down Decimate a little bit, as they know there is presence from Method, but he just leaves right away. Doing a great job, not exposing himself in any way, shape, or form, but he does waste some time. And Scoob, once again on that Nook, does a good job of getting into that main lobby, taking some map space that they were given. And Method kind of backed up a little bit, V, don't you think?
Yeah, but I mean, Method can be like a wounded animal in this scenario, that you never want to really walk towards a wounded animal because they will fight like hell. Both impacts go out, but the radius isn't big enough to actually stop the Selma charge from breaking open the wall. So it's another win for Decimate in this round, but that is just going to set them back in this scenario. Scoob goes down. Now Loading can just heal themselves up using this Kona station. A frag grenade flies through, takes out the healing Loading, and now that's another area that Decimate can move forward. And if trade happens between the two players, and we're seeing Decimate, they're backed up inside of Cash. Nyx is on the stairs, and finally something is going their way. in the late round. Not a 1v1. This might be a coordinated, calculated win that the attack so desperately needs. But as long as Nyx is behind this black mirror, maybe things will go one way. And it doesn't happen. Oloy gets 1. Oloy gets 2. And we're in another 1v1. This is what Decimate used to win. But as Twizzler pokes up, he does not get the kill without trading. It took a bit to register, but Method wins the round and wins the map.
What a 1v3. What a 1v3 to close out the map. Oloy just does the job, but just not able to slip through. They were so close at getting that bomb down towards green box, and the timing just wasn't there. And Oloy makes a great play, hits some nice shots, and just Decimate couldn't win that. They couldn't win that second 1v1. They had it. They had it the first time. They clutched it out. A little bit different. They had the 2v1 this time, but they weren't able to close it out. And Method, a really not just dominant, but impressive performance from them against a team that we all thought would be pretty solid, and just kind of made them look like fools at this point. Method just shattered at least my expectations from how good they look.
A lot of round 1 games can be used to make a statement. Whether you're a good team, whether you're a team that nobody really knows about, you can make a statement. And the statement here is that Method is not a team to mess around with, even with the players of high caliber. Decimate have been in T3 for a long time. They got smacked by Method. That was a brutal game to watch.
They get smacked. They got slapped around a little bit, but Method, I mean, they looked great. Like, there's not enough praise that I can really say. They just looked so good together. Like, sometimes you really see it, like, you know, one team is playing bad, for instance, like in this scenario, I guess Decimate, which they weren't playing fantastic, but Method was kind of the reason for that. They just played their position so well. They played their mans, and they just looked so good, and it really is a performance to build off of for this. It's a dominant win. You know, they can go into, you know, the rest of their games this week and build off this win, and I'm excited to see that.
Now, with Method going up 7-2, I know there's a lot to talk about with Method. And even though I think we have an interview prepped up, and I know you wanted to ask about the Thermite ready. I know, and we're actually, no, never mind. We're still gonna figure out all of that, so we can still worry about these 2 games. And unfortunately, you're not gonna be able to talk to the Thermite banners. You're only gonna be able to talk to the Habana banners.
I was excited. I was so excited. But hey, it's a good question to ask anyways. How did the Thermite put you guys off? Even though it definitely didn't. They won 5-1. But our interview is ready. So I can get right into asking those questions. The one that I'm sure everyone's hoping to know the answers to. But, I mean, just 7-2, V. 7-2. And hello, Nyx. A pretty dominant performance, to say the least. And I do have to ask, just because it's a little bit different of a roster than you guys had in the quals. You lose Twist and you get Loading. So I do have to ask, how has that changed your team dynamic?
I mean, Loading is a great addition to the team. He really brings just like the stability we need. Like, you know, if I'm ever making mistakes on like the leadership end, or if the team's making, you know, like just micro mistakes in terms of, you know, communication or positioning or anything like that, Chase usually does a really good job at cleaning that up. So that's like, you know, he's a huge addition to the team. I think ever since adding him, we've just been really focused on just, you know, improving our communication, and that's something that he really helps with as well. So I think it's been, you know, overall just a great transition and a great addition to the team. So.
Yeah, and something I have to ask as well, it wasn't you guys that banned it, but we were all very shocked to see a Thermite ban.
Yeah.
In that ban phase. So I do have to ask, did that kind of, obviously the round count didn't say it and you guys looked just fine, but that really put you guys off? It kind of changed up your game plan a little bit with that Thermite ban?
I mean, not really, but I think Club has kind of been like notorious for Thermite bans. Like teams have kind of like had that idea to do it for a while. The idea is like, you know, you can have a strong defensive half, but Club is kind of just, one of those maps where it can be attacker sided sometimes. Our attacks are something that we're very, something like I said, we really focus on is communication. And I think that attack really allows you to communicate and make team plays, something that we strive on. So the Thermite ban didn't really necessarily throw us off at all. Obviously a 5-1 attack half, and ultimately I think it actually just helped our defenses. So I think they kind of shot themselves in their foot with their ban. So
Yeah, it definitely looked like that. And another thing that I do have to ask, you kind of have some new bloods. Drix was in CL very, very briefly. He never got to play a game, but he was on that Vipers roster. But how have you and Loading, now that you've added him, really tried to get the three of them kind of at this level? Because for me, I would assume, just from knowing them and playing with them before, that, they haven't really played to this type of a structure. So how have you kind of been easing them into that process?
Yeah, I mean, Shapai, Oleoid, and Drix have been like amazing teammates. They want to improve. They want to get better. I'm someone that's known for kind of being like a hard ass. Like I'm pretty hard on my teammates because I want the best like for the team. So I push these guys every single day to like kind of be the best versions of themselves, while I also hold myself to that standard as well. So I mean, they've been doing an incredible job of just like, absorbing the information that I give them, that Chase gives them. And to be honest, they've been doing a great job of just keeping me accountable and making sure that I come into practice every single day trying to be the best version of myself. So it's been a very positive environment, I'd say, for the most part. Obviously, every team has its ups and downs, but I'm very excited to keep playing with these guys, keep growing with these guys. And I think we have a promising future ahead of us. I think people are kind of underestimating this roster a little bit, to be honest.
That's all I got. Thank you. Nice job today, and good luck really throughout the rest of this Swiss stage.
Thanks, man. I really appreciate it.
Well, I don't think a lot of people are going to be underestimating Method after today. And looking at the stats, everybody above the 1 point margin, and high at top with an impressive 1.65 rating, planted 3 times, got a 10.4 KD. I mean, that is all you want from a support, honestly.
Yeah, it helps when you have a support player playing that well. And I mean, 3 objectives. I believe all 3 of those were plants as well.
Yes.
So.
Overall, Method got 4 plants down in the 6 rounds.
It's solid. It's fantastic. And they did pretty well in those entries, as you can see, the +3, and nothing really surprising from that Method side. I mean, when you have, your entries doing the good job of kind of taking that space, it really opens up the rest of the map for really everyone else, for those support players, those flex players. So Method, once again, a dominant performance, and Decimate, they're going to have to try their best to kind of come back in their next game and kind of wipe the slate here, try and change whatever the hell just happened, because it just was not a good showing from them.
And I do want to mention, on the side of Decimate, Twizzler also did have a good match. So even though that Decimate had an unfortunate showing, Twizzler himself did not. So it is something of a little bit of a beacon of light on the side of Decimate. But that is it for the 3rd map. We are rounding up the night. We've got 1 more series for you. It is going to be a good one. Outlast versus 6 Karma. We are going to be right back after this break for the final match of the night.